All right, I accidentally hit the wrong button and we started a new video, so we're just going to roll with this. So what we have here is Rusty Booker, 411, 185, 10 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 1,245 yards. So the first thing we need to do is percent of completions per attempt. All right, so this is my formula, which technically we don't need at this point in time. So completions was 185. Per means divided by attempt, which is 411. So it's 185 divided by 411. Okay, now watch the calculator. I'll clear that out. 185 divided by 411. Press enter, and that gives me 0.45. This is a decimal, but I'm looking for a percentage here. So that means I need to convert the percentage, I need to convert the decimal back to a percentage by moving the decimal 2 places over, and I get 45%, like so. Okay, now you're going to repeat the steps for the next two things here. So the percent of touchdowns. So touchdowns in the question is 10 divided by the attempts, which is 411. So 10 divided by 411 gives me a pretty small decimal, but I need to convert it to a percentage by moving the decimal, and that is 2.4. Now you might be asking, why am I timesing by 100? Because that automatically moves the decimal for me. All right, percent of interceptions. Interceptions is 13 divided by attempts, which is 411. 13 divided by attempts, which is 411. Let's move the decimal. 3.12 or 3.16, which rounds to 3.2. Now the last one gets everybody kind of confused because they'll do the average yards, 1,245 divided by 411. 1,245 divided by 411. That gives me a number, but then what they'll do is that they'll move the decimal to convert it to a percentage. Guys, look at the labels. There's no percentage here. It actually stays the same. So notice there's percent, percent, percent. These are moving decimal steps. This one here is nothing. So you do not move the decimal. You leave it as is. All right. So once we have the information, now we've got to find the quarterback rating. So hopefully you can see this. And that is, let me move it up a little bit, this formula here. All right, so it's 25 plus 10 times, now see that percent completions? Percent completions, 45. This is the only formula that you'll ever keep the percentages the same and not move the decimals. Percent touchdowns, 2.4. Now, on pretty much every formula that we'll ever do in this class, you always have to move the decimals except this formula here. 3.2 plus 50. Average yards is 3. And I'm going to divide all that by 12. All right. Now the good news is I can take the entire numerator and plug it into the calculator at one step. 25 plus 10 parenthesis times 45 plus 40, 2.4 minus 50 times 3.2 plus 50 times 3. I get an answer of that. And then notice I still need to divide by 12, enter, 46.75, which, now you might be saying, well, that's different. The reason is because of rounding. All right, the reason is because of rounding here, so don't freak out that this and this is not exactly the same. So like this right here is the exact, as opposed to this, we round a little bit, and whenever we round, we throw the number off. So you might be saying, well, Coach Ford, on the final, I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. Trust me, I'm not going to be strict on this. You need to be in the neighborhood. So 46.8 is what I got. But if you got like 47.1, I'll take that. Or, I'm going to be in the neighborhood, all right, because of the rounding situation. I might have rounded differently, and so don't freak out on that. All right, next one. Question number 32, Greg Johnson. All right, so we've got to use, it's now baseball, and we've got to use the baseball percentage or formula here. All right, the slugging average. Now, if you notice the slugging average, here it is. 1 plus our singles. So, or 1 times our singles. 1 times 114 plus 2 times our doubles. 2 times 25. Now, technically, you don't have to do 2 times 25. You could do like just 50, but I want you to know exactly what I'm doing. 3 times 1 plus, let's see, home runs, 4 times home runs, 4 times 25. I'm going to take all of that and divide by 750. Now, just like the touchdown, the quarterback ranking, you can do all this at 1 times 114. Now, again, technically you don't have to do 1 times 114 because you already know it's 114. I'm just making sure you know what I'm doing. Like 2 times 25, you can just put 50. 3 times 1, you can just put 3. You don't need to do that. Plus 4 times 25, press enter. And I'm going to divide all that by 750, 356. Now, what is the total? What is the total number of bases for Greg? Now, you can ask me a little later when you see me, but I'm just going to give you the trick here, and that is all the numerator added and multiplied together. Because if you see, when I did the entire numerator, I got 267. That's the basis, 267. Okay. Now, question number 33. This is a very formula-friendly unit here. The fog index. This is the formula. Oop, there's the formula right here. Okay. So the way you're going to write it is 0.4, big bracket, parenthesis, the number of words, which is 140, over the number of sentences, which is 13, close parenthesis, plus 100 times, put a parenthesis, complex words is 10, over the number of words again, which is 140. Close bracket. Now, the reason I put this in a bracket is because this 0.4 gets multiplied after everything in the middle does. So watch this. Parenthesis 140 divided by 13, close parenthesis, plus 100, open parenthesis, 10 divided by 140. Press enter. You get 17.91. Now you're going to multiply that by 0.4 times 0.4. 7.16 rounds to 7.2. All right. The biggest challenge with this is making sure you understand the 0.4 gets multiplied after the entire middle gets multiplied. All right, the flesh Kincaid. Here we go. This is an easy one because you just plug it into your calculator. Starting off with 0.39, the number of words, which is 140, over the number of sentences, which is 13, close parenthesis, plus 11.8, open parenthesis, number of syllables, which is 208, divided by the number of words, which is 140, close parenthesis, minus 15.59. Do all this in one. So 0.39, parenthesis, 140, divided by 13, plus 11.1, open parenthesis, 208, divided by 140, close parenthesis, minus 15.59, press enter. 6.14, 6.1. All right. 34. When applying the UPC adding procedure. Okay. UPC procedure. All right. What is this? Now, step 1 is to take, and I can highlight this. First number, that number. Skip every other number. Add, that. All of that. Add it together and times it by 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Still 4, 12, 16. So 16 times 3. Step 1 is 48. Step 2 is take all the other numbers. 3, 1, that ends up being 4, still 4, 6, 7, 0. All right, 7. Step 3 is add them up. 48 plus 7 gives me 55. Boom, 55. Now, it says if the UPC is valid, write an A. If not, it's not valid because the total is ending in a 0. So what should the check digit be? Well, it's 55 with a check digit of 0. So if I was at 55, I could go to 60 or I could go back down to 50 because it's got to end in a 0. So either I'm adding 5 or I'm subtracting 5. Well, the check digit is 0, so if I added 5, I get positive 5. Oh, there it is. You can see it. If I subtract 5, it will be negative 5. So what is the obvious check digit? Could it be positive 5 or negative 5? Well, it's got to be positive 5 because there's no way it could be negative. There you go, 5. Greg Johnson season stats listed below. All right, so here's another Greg. Dale apparently Forgot to change the names. Oops. All right, so first off, what we have to do is use the slugging percentage. All right, now the only difference is we don't know how many doubles there are. So when I set this up, it's going to be 1 times 150 plus our doubles, we don't know, so that'll be plus 2x plus 3 times 1 plus 4 times 27 all over 698 is equal to the slugging, which is 0.509. Okay? Now, that's an ugly formula right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my denominator. So I'm going to take the denominator and times it by the slugging average. All right? And when I do that, I'm going to do two steps at once. I'm also going to combine everything on my numerators. All right? So, or simplify it at least. All right, so I'm going to go right here. 1 times 150, that's 150, plus 2x. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 27, I believe is 108. Let's see, 4 times 27. Yep, 108 is equal to whatever 698 and 509 is. That should be, let's see, 355. All right. So from here, I'm just going to add combine like terms. So that's 150, 3, and 8. All right, so 150 plus 3 plus 108. That gives me 2x is equal to 2x plus 261 is equal to 355. Minus 261 minus 261. At this point, it's just a simple little math problem here. And so 355 minus 261. 2x is equal to 94. Divide by 2. I believe that's 47. Yep, there it is, 47. Now, what is Greg's total number of bases? Well, now that you know that he had 47 doubles, times this by 1, get a number. Times this by 2, get a number. Times this by 3 and get a number. Times this by 4 and get a number. And just add what you got. And you should get 355. All right. Next one is find the second digit of UPC. Again, the second digit is kind of like finding the check digit. First step, take all of the numbers. All right, so 6 plus 6 is 12, still 12, 19, 26, 0. All right, so 26 times 3, I believe 78. It is. Step 1 is 78. Step 2, take all the other numbers. Now, I know we should be adding this x. We don't know what it is, so we just kind of skip it for now. Starting with 0, 5, plus 7 is 12. Let's see, that'll be 20, 24. Step 3 is add what you got. So 78 plus 24 gives you 102. Now, I need this 102 to either go to 110 or go back down to 100. Now, I would have to add 8 to go up to 110. I would have to subtract 2 to get 100. So the question is it going to be, this missing numbers are going to be positive 8 or negative 2? Well, I mean, let's be honest. There's no way a number on a credit card can be negative. All right, so it's got to be 8. All right. Now, for the credit card one, very similar to UPC, except a little more numbers and one more step. So again, starting with the first number. That number, 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 that number. All right, so let's add them up. 4 plus 4 is 8. That'd be 10, still 10. That becomes 17. That becomes still 17. 17 still 25. So step 1 is 25, but since it's a credit card, we times it by 2, which gives us 50. All right, that's my first number. My second number, that's the infamous 5 through 9. Which of these numbers are 5 through 9? No, 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 no. Oh, that's 1. No, no. Oh, that's 2. There was 2 numbers, so it's 2. Step 3 would be all the numbers that we skipped. 3, 0, still 3, still 3. That becomes a 4, 11, 20, still 20, 25. And then, of course, step 4 let me box that in because I've been doing that, is add all these numbers up. 50 plus 2 plus 25, boom, 77. Now, if the credit card is valid, write NA. If not, what should the credit card be? Well, it's 77. All right, it's 77 with a check digit of 5. So 77 we could either add 3 to it to get 80, or we could subtract 7 to it to get 70. All right, so apply the same thing to this check digit. We either add 3 to it to get 8, or we subtract 7 from it and we get -2. Well, which one could actually be a valid credit card? That'd be 8. There you go. Okay. All right, so this is a summary of John's grade in AMDM. All right, so what we're going to do, this is actually pretty self-explanatory. Take the scores and average them. So 70 plus 84, 70 plus 84, enter, divide by 2, gives us 77. The midterm, performance, final, and final, you don't have to average them because there's only one number. Then you take the mean, multiply it by the category to get the raw score. So like, for example, 77 times 0.5, because that's the decimal in the percentage, 0.05. Press enter, gives you 38.5. You do the same thing, 80 times 0.2, so 80 times 0.2 gives you 16. You do the same thing for all of them. And then to get the overall score, add up all the raw scores. That'll give you the overall score. All right. I think we're going to stop after this page here. All right, so find the check digit of the credit card. Again, starting with the first number, 4, 0, 9, 7, 1, 5, 2, and 6. All right. These pretty big numbers. Let's see if we can do this in my head. 4, that's still a 4. That's a 13. That's a 20. That's a 21. That's a 26. That's a 28. That's a 34. So step 1 was 34, but I times them by 2 to get 68. Step 2, remember that's the infamous 5 through 9 range. Nope, nope. Oh, that's 1. That's 2. Nope. That's 3. That's 4. 4 numbers, 4. And then 3, add all the other numbers up. 5, 9, that's 14, 22, 0, 23, 26, 29. Step 4 is add them all up. Let me box that in. 68 plus 4 plus 29. All right. 68 plus 4 plus 68 plus 4 plus 29. That gives me 101. Now, the check digit, we're at 101, so it's either we add 9 to it to get 110, or we have to do a -1 to get 100. Well, which one actually works out? It would have to be 9 because there's no way the check digit can be a negative. There we go. All right. This is a summary of John's grade in freshman college math. All right, so again, we're going to take all this, add them all up, divide it by 3 to get the mean, which is 83. All right, and then we take the mean, we times it by 0.5 to get the raw score. Do the same thing, midterm times 0.15 gives me this. Now, what we don't know is the final. All right, so this is one of those relationship deals. He wants to have a 75. That's what he wants. We're going to subtract by the raw scores that we have, 41.5 minus 12.6. We are going to get a number. And then we're going to take that number and divide it by the final exam percentage, which in this case is 0.35. So 75 minus 41.5 minus 12.6 gives me a number of 20.9. And I'm just going to divide that by 0.35. 59.7, which rounds to 60. Now that tells me that John's grade, he has more than a 75 right now. So he probably has like, I don't know, 78, 79, 80. That's what his grade is right now. So that means he doesn't have to try very hard on the final exam to get a 75. All right. So that's the end of that video. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.